The amount of videos uploaded to YouTube every day is absurd. You could spend every day of the rest of your life and never get close to watching all of them. Actually, you couldn't even watch all the videos uploaded today, since 300 hours worth of videos are uploaded every minute. It would take about 750 years just to get through all the videos that are there right now. Thankfully, not all of them are even worth watching, but some certainly are, especially the ones that are so bizarre that you wouldn't even believe they actually happened if they hadn't been caught on camera. Today, we're going to show you these videos. Let's get it on! Sometimes things just happen for no apparent reason, and it can be terrifying. In 2014, the Korean version of Top Gear decided to shoot an epic drag race between a Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 and a vintage Bell AH-1 Cobra attack helicopter. I guess why not? The race itself wasn't the strange part though. As the presenter came to a stop in the Corvette, the helicopter unexpectedly goes into a slow tailspin and nosedives into the ground for seemingly no reason at all. Miraculously, despite the spectacular crash and panic that ensues on set, nobody was seriously hurt. Both the pilot and his passenger suffered only minor injuries. What makes the whole incident stranger is that despite early reports blaming mechanical failure for the crash, the National Transportation and Safety Board's investigation into the cause of the crash revealed no evidence of mechanical failure or malfunctions. So nobody actually knows what happened to make a huge attack helicopter suddenly smash into the ground. We'll just have to keep wondering, I guess. Base jumping is known as one of the world's most extreme sports, and for good reason. Even the most experienced base jumpers with the best laid plans can't fully avoid things going wrong sometimes. Every jump means risking your life. So what about if you add some flips into the mix? No, God! Norwegian jumper Richard Henriksen is a surgeon who likes doing stunts before a base jump. While being filmed for a TV show, he was attempting to launch himself off a huge cliff by swinging off a high bar, but the mount wasn't strong enough and unexpectedly collapsed to the side, sending him over the unsafe edge of the cliff. The TV crew was sure he wouldn't make it, but through a stroke of remarkable luck, he narrowly missed the rocks protruding from the cliff and wasn't hit by the steel bars which followed him over the edge. He regained his composure in time to open his parachute and land safely, but the video is definitely enough to make anyone's palms a little sweaty. We all know skiing can be dangerous. Any sport where there's even a slight risk of getting caught in an avalanche has to require nerves of steel. Sometimes, though, it's not the extreme weather or natural disasters you need to worry about, as a genuine danger can occur without warning. That's exactly what happened to four-time overall World Cup defending champion Marcel Hirscher back in 2015. During a slalom race in the Italian Alps, his second World Cup run that year, the champion skier had a very narrow miss when, without warning, a camera drone plummeted out of the sky. It landed just inches behind him, making it heart-stoppingly obvious that if he'd just been a second slower, he could have been seriously injured. Despite that, he finished second place in that race, just 1.2 seconds behind the winner, and reclaimed his overall champion title yet again. Still, despite celebrations, the footage of the once-in-a-lifetime error makes it painfully clear just how badly the incident could have ended. There's a wealth of movies out there waiting to show you just how terrifying sharks are, showing them hunting humans with their rows of razor-sharp teeth.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
You might have wondered how close to reality that classic cinematic depiction actually is, but this next clip might give you more of an answer than you hoped for. While competing in the J-Bay Open surfing competition in South Africa, famous Australian surfing champion Mick Fanning suddenly found himself in the middle of one of those films. The live TV broadcast caught the incident, showing Fanning on his board waiting for his first wave of the competition, when suddenly a fin-like object appears behind him. He realized what was happening and tried to swim away, but within seconds he was pulled into the water and disappeared behind a wave. The incident is bone-chilling, but through an amazing stroke of luck, he wasn't injured. The shark had actually pulled him into the water by the rope attaching his surfboard to his leg, so the shark never actually touched him. And it's a good thing it didn't. This story would have ended very differently. The classic Rubik's Cube has captivated people for decades. It looks deceptively simple, before frustrating you for days when you can't solve it. Some compete to prove they can do it faster than anyone else, but for others, speed isn't enough, and Jeremy Allison really wanted to raise the bar of what's physically possible. He's a wingsuit flyer, which is impressive enough on its own, but he decided to combine his two passions and set out to solve a Rubik's Cube while falling out of the sky at 100 miles per hour. He turned onto his back and ignored the fact that he was plummeting toward the earth so effectively that he actually managed to solve it before having to open his parachute. It's easily one of the most impressive things you'll ever witness. We all know that ships and storms don't mix well. Watching ships navigating huge waves or dealing with extreme weather out in the middle of the ocean is always terrifying. But what happens when a storm hits in a harbor? That's exactly what happened in Barcelona in 2018, when unusually strong winds swept through a port where a passenger ferry was attempting to maneuver. It was caught on camera crashing into a huge crane as the winds threw it off course. You can see dock workers flee as the crane collapses, and some containers, which unluckily contained flammable materials, catch fire. Despite the slow speed, the incident quickly starts to look like something out of an action movie. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in the incident, but the terrifying scale of the incident does make you wonder if everyone surviving was just a lucky escape. Most people don't usually like getting out of their comfort zone, but there are a select few who don't let anything stop them. Bartek Ostolovsky is one of those special few. The rising star racer sadly lost both his arms in a terrible motorcycle accident when he was just 20 years old, and that should have meant the end of his career, but he wasn't about to let that keep him from his passion. For some time he searched for new ways to keep driving, and soon enough he learned to drive using only his feet. That would be impressive enough if all he did was drive a car normally, but he definitely doesn't. He became the first driver with no arms to ever earn an international racing license, and after that he took it even further. He and his team specially modified a Nissan Skyline, firstly with a V8 engine, and then with several other modifications which allow him to drive it without a need for arms, like putting the chair further back from the steering wheel so he can operate it with his feet, and a special shift so he can change gears with his shoulders. In this super cool custom car of his, he recently finished 9th out of 50 drivers in the Polish Drift Championship, which is known as one of the most competitive championship series in all of Europe, and he previously won the Czech Drift Series, proving once and for all that just because something is considered difficult by average standards doesn't mean someone with setbacks can't triumph in it if they have enough talent. Formula One pit stops are always pretty amazing. When something goes wrong with your car, it might be gone for 2 days while it's being fixed, but somehow the F1 crews can do comprehensive pit stops in the middle of a race in a matter of seconds. They need speed, agility, precision, and an ability to work under extreme pressure, as one wrong move could cause a fatality. Now imagine all of that, but in zero gravity. Can it even be done? Aston Martin and Red Bull Racing thought it could and set out to prove it. They'd already performed 3 record-breaking pit stops in the 2019 season and needed a new challenge, so they took to the skies, 32,808 feet up at the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. They completed a week of flights where the plane they were in climbs, then falls in what's known as a ballistic arc. That's 45 degrees, creating a moment of weightlessness. The zero gravity only lasts for 22 seconds, so each filming session was reduced to 15 seconds to ensure things weren't floating around when gravity returned. It was incredibly demanding on the crew, but it makes for breathtaking viewing. In China, this poultry farmer has become an unlikely internet star by walking his chickens and filming it. It might not sound impressive, but it is an incredible sight to see an astonishing 70,000 chickens blazing their way through the Chinese countryside. Finding that a little hard to imagine? Luckily, you don't need to. The farmer and his assistant move on a motorcycle with a trailer and spread out millets to make the chickens chase him. He claims the chickens travel a total of 10 kilometers a day, and he's even in the process of teaching them to fly. It's a very surreal sight, and if 70,000 chickens wasn't enough to satisfy your poultry craving, we have some ducks for you too. Everyone likes a relaxing day by the beach, but that's not what the beachgoers in Norfolk, England got. People along the coast were shocked to discover 12 absolutely giant pipes which washed up on the beach, seemingly out of nowhere, and they really were absolutely huge, with a diameter of 8 feet and the longest segment at a massive 1,574 feet long. It's no wonder this made people suspicious of what they were and where they came from. You don't really expect something that big to just just wash up on a beach. The mystery of their origin was solved pretty fast though. Turns out they were being towed from Norway to Algeria for a big project. The Coast Guard were quick to point out that the brand new plastic pipes posed no danger of pollution, so the giant alien-like objects weren't really as scary as they seemed after all. Time lapses are all over the internet, and for good reason. From flowers opening to skyscrapers being built, there's something incredibly satisfying about seeing something grow in a matter of seconds. This video isn't that though. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Instead of seeing something grow, you're about to see something destroyed, but it's still just as satisfying and significantly more exhilaratingly scary than your average pretty time lapse. This is the demolition of the AFE Tower in Frankfurt, Germany. They used almost 1 ton of explosives, which were inserted into 1,500 holes drilled into the building, which stands at 381 feet, making it the tallest ever building in Europe to be demolished using explosives. And it's a good thing for us that they decided to do it that way. Because the video footage is truly spectacular. Hey, you still there? Well, since you made it this far, here are all the shoutouts we promised everyone that commented on our previous video. If you want to be shouted out in our next upcoming video as well as the ones prior, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below saying, "Pick me." Once you're at it, you might as well leave a like too.